Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ERS podcast. I'm your host, Rusty, as usual. Alongside me, we have Buck,
What's up?
and our special guest today, we have the one, the only Niall O'Hare.
Hello there.
So Niall, welcome. I
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Last week we had talking with Kyle Chief there, fellow Chevy member. How did you? I know you didn't race Michigan this week. You were hosting, um, and whatnot. How would you feel, or no? How would you say the whole Michigan race went from a hosting perspective this week?
Well, for me personally, I saw a lot of, look like drivers were uncomfortable with the cars. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on with ERS and the Michigan racing over the weekend, like how the Sebs suck, or, like the D3 race that I hosted, how we had to change the track model twice. And as someone who was in the D5 race, we also had to change the track there because we didn't like the racing stuff. So from what I can tell, we had a lot of things happen back in the D1 race, and makes me feel glad actually didn't race because it didn't really look that much fun. Really, I know I had involvement in the setups, but I mean. I just felt like the Michigan model we used, both models for the whole weekend, weren't that much fun. And I mean, good for Mysticso finally getting that first win since season 14, but Michigan just didn't really look fun from what I could tell.
Yeah,
Yeah. Also, I want to add something to that. So apparently the issue, from what I saw from my perspective, is that there was like different kinds of rotation. Like like the transition from the end of turn number 2 and the back straightaway was really harsh. So if you kept turning, like if you kept holding the A key, your car would just veer to the left, like straight up, just
Well,
almost
that
going like into the devil almost sometimes.
Well, that's what happened to me in the D2 race when I was racing. Like, I was like running P4, I think. I'm not sure. Like, I
yeah.
was racing and then my car just snapped left, and next thing you know, I'm spinning out into the death wall, and I go head on into the death wall, and there goes my front end. Thankfully, we were able to still contend for the win, but yeah, that's what happened with those subs. They were snappy, and I just turned it to the left too much, I guess, and I went to the death wall.
Yeah, definitely. Um, you know, I when I was racing in the Michigan race there, like when I got a run on the bottom or whatever, and I'd go near the apron, my car would turn to like a 45-degree angle. I don't know if that's just how like the if it's the more of a track issue or it's a setup issue. Um, I just kind of felt like when I was racing in there, and I know you kind of had experiences in D2 and whatnot. You said earlier. I don't know. I honestly think with the track itself, I thought I mean I ran pretty good, but like I just didn't like how like every time I'd go through the turn, I hit the apron, my car would turn to a 45-degree angle, where your car would automatically just like turn to a certain way and spin out.
Yeah. That's how it felt basically in the D2 race too. And like I said, I could tell those drivers were uncomfortable driving those cars back in the D1 race. Like you saw a lot of drivers corner cutting at some points, and like that's basically Daniel lost the race. He got loose on the apron, and he had to slow down too much and let Mistixo get a big lead on him, and that's how Mistixo was able to win. And like I could tell, like those cars. And I saw you back in the D1 race where it looked like you just turned left down Nugfits. Now, I know you weren't left wreck anyone intentionally. I felt like that was because of those setups. Like sometimes they just turn dead right or dead left on you. And that's what happened to me in D2 as well.
Yeah, there's nothing I really could have done there. It was more on me, if anything, and then I got hit and whatnot, and I got sent to the back, and then a whole Wisp Badgernaut incident occurred from that, which, again, there's looked like a racing incident, but that's all I pretty much got to say about that. Um, Going into, or moving on from the Michigan race there, this upcoming week we got Nashville Super Speedway. I'm not really confident about Nashville because I'm kind of more concerned with the model, if anything, because I don't know what model we're going to be using for Nashville. Do you know what kind of model we're going for this week for Nashville?
I honestly don't know, but I mean, I don't feel the best about this race either. Like, I can just remember how the last two time we were at Nashville, which was season 10,
Yeah,
where where I'm trying to think. Like we used two models that weekend. We used one that looked like an Eskimo and one that would look like that was from Hypno Panda. And I can tell both races there were pretty subpar. Like you had the D2 race that weekend where the racing was subpar and was not so good. And then you had the D1 race where it was just wall snag central, and I raced on that Nashville too, and it's not very fun. And we also used that Nashville for D5 as well. And like, let me tell you, it just wasn't fun when I raced there in D5. And I mean, I don't think we're gonna go back to that Nashville. I'm not sure what Runke is planning, but if we use that Nashville that we did back in D5 and season
yeah,
three D5, I feel like it's not really gonna be that fun.
Yeah, especially how the nature of Nashville, it's kind of like a tight track coming off the corner, so it's gonna be really difficult, in my opinion, for drivers to just hold two wide racing or even three wide. And considering how aggressive the D2 field is nowadays, yeah, it's probably gonna be a caution fest.
yeah.
Would not be surprised.
Yeah, again, I'm not really too confident in the Nashville model, so it's going to be really interesting to see how I think yeah, all three divisions at Nashville hold up. So, moving on from the races and whatnot, I kind of want to dive down into a more depth here. Um, this is a topic that I think got brought up, I think, a little bit earlier. I think last week. I think it was, or over the weekend, I should say, as well, too. Um, I've done a lot of reflecting on this topic, too. Um, I think, you know, when it comes to, managing a league and whatnot, and, what can you do in terms of, like, communication and, I think it's tough and whatnot. So my question being is here: do you think ERS needs a reset button, start from scratch, get rid of unnecessary tracks that don't need to be on the schedule, and start testing again? I know we had this conversation a little bit ago, I think over the weekend and whatnot, but just to kind of refresh and whatnot, just to you know answer that question again.
Well, me personally, from what I can see, like with the charters, like I don't think we should just take all the charters from the four car teams like Hendrick and Gibbs to give more teams a chance. Like they've been in this league for like forever, and to take their
Yeah,
charters away, I don't agree with that. And then you got like just take some teams away, like teams that do not need to be there. Like you can grandfather some teams like Hendrick and Gibbs, the four charters, and teams that have been there for like forever. Give some teams three charters and some teams two charters, and like
yeah,
maybe up down the field size to between 30 to 35. We're going for quality over quantity. Like now we have like 40 driver roster. We don't need 40 drivers in D1. I know like 20 show up to qualify every week, but still, we don't need that much. And like, it's the same with D2 and D3 too. Like with D2, you could do the same thing, but like maybe down the size because like you have all these new drivers coming in, the new generation of row racing, all these late Gen Zs and the Gen Alpha people like, and we can't have people moving up to D2 real quickly. You see kids like Noodles, Jaden moving up to D2 too quickly, and then they're a freaking hazard every single weekend. And with D3's been decent. I'd say with D3, you can like keep it to like 30 man roster. I mean, D3's been fine this season. It's had its ups and downs. Just look at Michigan. And then the other thing is the templates. Like driving these cars that we've driven since season 11 and D2 and D1, these take zero talent to drive. Like like it doesn't take talent to drive these. These things freaking suck. We're basically racing in a freaking matchbox where you can full send somebody and then you can still win the goddamn race. It's the same thing with D5. Like these templates need to change. I feel like I'm racing in a freaking matchbox and it's stupid. And like with the tracks too, like we don't need so many fictional tracks in my opinion. Like we should just stick to what's right and not like and like give us a chase system too. Like a chase system would be awesome. It would help us get us the guy who deserves the championship the most, more than the playoffs. I wouldn't give us a full playoff format because I feel like with not playoff, a full season form would give us the guy who just shows up the most. But chase format, you can still have a little bit of parity, but like a chase format will reward us the driver who was pretty much the best all season more than the playoffs because like someone could start mid-season and still win the championship and I don't like that.
Yeah, and to clarify your point there, apparently back in season 15, I know Zach was supposed to like take over the league, and originally we thought about maybe having a chase system like you said, but then obviously that got scrapped eventually, but yeah, I really feel like the chase system is what would be fitting for ERS because just having yeah, like you said, just having the full season format, basically the driver who makes the most races just wins. So I feel like it would definitely be better than what we have now.
Yeah, definitely. I think, in terms of the whole reset button, I think, I do agree with, the whole scheduling and, templates and stuff like that. I think, and I think instead of, uh, I think, giving the 4 charters to Hendrick, I think that's a great idea. But at the same time, I think what needs to happen is kind of cut some of the D1 drivers that are not always active. I think that's part of the problem is we're adding some of these D1 drivers as well that don't show up every single week. I mean, for instance, like I know Silent Volcano, he doesn't show up a lot. I know there's some other guys too that do show up and then they don't show up. I know they all have busy schedules, but like if you're gonna show up every single week, you gotta like show up and whatnot.
I don't disagree. And like, just because someone retires, we're like, okay, we got to move up a D2 driver. Like, no, we don't need to move up a D2 driver. Like, could you imagine if Mystixo were to retire? This is a hypothetical scenario. If Mystixo were to retire right now, and I'm like, okay, we got to move up a D2 driver, and we move up Jaden to D1, like, I think I speak for everyone in the ERS. Jaden is not ready for D1. Like, we can't just keep moving up these D2 drivers up so early. Like, we need to have a system. Like, I know we have a system right now, but we need to reset that system. We can't just.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got cut off right there. As I was saying, but we need a system for these D2 drivers and these D3 drivers moving up. So like we can't just have D3 and D2 drivers moving up right away. Like there needs to be that system where like you have them even if they win a race, they should spend 2 to 3 seasons in D2 and D3 before moving up. They need to learn. They need to learn respect before moving on to D1 because ERS D1 racing should be no joke, but like with these garbage templates and how people are moving up and how the racing has been, it just feels like a free for all and so much parity, and I don't care for that. Like ERSD1 should be a challenge, and lately with all these drivers moving up, I don't think it's been much of a challenge really for everyone moving up. Like we could see some underdog stories, sure, but like I said, these D1 and D2 cars, they don't take jack shit talent to drive. Back when we drove these things in season 10 and season 9, these things took talent, but you take the talent out of your drivers. It's like real life NASCAR with this freaking action. You got like 15 to 19 different winners every season now. But with these things, like this is just like real life NASCAR, I guess, where we just have more parity. It's like quantity over quality, but we need to bring back that quality.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, talking about like your point about the D1 and D2 cars, I feel like they just race practically the same. So I feel like there needs to be like um like like two cars shouldn't be the same. Two divisions shouldn't be the same. Like this is how I feel like about the D2 cars. It's way too close to what D1 is like. And I know tracks D4 and even D5 have their differences, but I feel like D2 just kind of needs that identity again. Because yeah, it takes even no talent to even drive these things. I mean, on my start in D1 New Hampshire, I was able to get up to the front because everyone just kept wrecking. So that really says a lot about the D1 field, I feel like.
Another thing too, I want to mention as well. I can't tell you how many times I can go a D1 race without on the restart somebody full sending like Max Danger or I don't know Nugfits or G-Man or just somebody like. Can we stop with the sending? It's like how many times can I like keep going with this? I mean, it's grueling me right now, and I I just feel like this upcoming week at Nashville, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm probably gonna see 9 times out of 10 full sending on the first lap. It happens every single race, and people get sent to the back,
I
shuffled back, and whatnot. It's just stupid.
I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, this is why these things do not take talent to drive. Like these guys can come back from like 15th or 14th or ninth and just get to the lead because they decide to go 3 wide in these things. It's like, and like you can just like door slam somebody out of the way, and that's not racing. And that's part of why I do not like these templates more really. Like you can just door slam the guy or body slam them out of the way, and then that just that just screws you over basically. You not only yourself but the guy next to you, more so the guy you're door slamming. And like that's that's what I don't like about these templates either. I just feel like they create more parity. We're like more closer to each other now. You see, like like I said with the old templates that we had back in season 9 to 10, those things took talent, and like the racing was more spread apart, and that showed who was the best every week. But with these things are these things you can just body slam somebody, and then you can be side by side with like third or fourth. And it's the same thing with D5 too, but this isn't about D5. This is about more so the top two divisions. And like this is why these templates got to go. Like, give us something that's hard to drive, challenge us, and not these Matchbox bumper car bullcrap thing templates.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really feel like they really made the D1 and D2 cars really arcadey to drive, just in my opinion. And I also feel like there should be like more intentional wall snags. No, I know this will be controversial. This could really stop people from like just riding the wall and like getting to first place just because he avoided all the chaos. So I feel like maybe trying to implement some maybe little parts that stick out to the wall so people can't just, intentionally go around the wall and just take the lead because they avoided all the chaos. And it also
Well,
makes it worse that people from the back can just really send it and not have any repercussions. Like they don't spin out, they just stay right there and just go with it, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like, with like back to like the racing, like the answer for to fix the snacks and stuff is right in front of us. You just need to fix the walls, the density and the stuff. You just need to fix all the walls in the studio, even if it takes you an hour, and boom, you don't really get too much wall snacks. I mean, that could be avoidable, but like a lot of the tracks we use, I feel like are made for mesh cars. We use block cars. We're a block league. But with all the wall riding and stuff and all the wall tapping, like these setups too. I don't feel like these setups have been really great. Like I saw with like we made a sub change in the D2 race because with what I saw with these subs, you could put no draft into these, and then you have to lay off so much can make the corner and ride the low line, and maybe you can get that runoff. But like, it reminds me of like Las Vegas in season 13 when I raced that. You just have to you just have to bump and run the guy, send them into the wall, and then you get the lead basically. That's not racing. It's like a 550 horsepower race too if you don't bump somebody out of the way. It's like a game of follow the leader. Like with all the very tight setups, we think we're giving these drivers something challenging. No, we're giving them something crappy. Like it's not real racing if you're just if you can't pass without bumping someone out of the way. That's not racing. It's not challenging. It's like a free for all, and that's what I mean too. That's how races are won these days because these guys truly do not know how to are not really skillful in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, some of these racers that I race with every single week in D1, I definitely think that, like, they definitely need to, get more practice. Because some of these guys that I race with, they don't even practice at all. And then they go out and practice and they, run good in qualifying. But when we go to the race, it's like they run horrible. It's like, you need to, like, practice more or find ways to, you know, adapt so that you can't you know, stop or just stop full sending every single turn. I It just mind boggles me because it's like back then in season 10 and season 11, we both know this, Niall. I mean, the competition was harder back then. I mean, we had harder templates and
Yeah,
whatnot, and it's the hard. We fought through it all. I mean, now it's like we go
exactly.
we race and the league now, and it's like we're racing it's kiddie games. It's Matchbox. It's just,
I don't I don't disagree.
but
And to add to your point, like with all these new drivers coming up, and you see all these new rookies, they're winning 1 to 2 races a season. That should not happen. It shouldn't because these D2 cars are too close to the D1 cars, as like Buck or you mentioned, or both of you.
yep,
But yeah, it's like we're like these things take no skill to drive. Like I remember like when Marcus and Ang were dominating the competition in
yeah.
season 11. They were far away the best. And
Oh,
like we couldn't contend with them. That's because they were the best.
exactly. And now it's like, in today's racing aspect, it's like we can compete with these guys because it's like, they're in our shoes because like we're the top dogs, and then they're not really so much they're still learning and adapting and whatnot. But speaking of rookies and
Hmm.
what and whatnot, earlier this week, there's kind of an altercation between you, KLD, and the ERS owner. Do you care to comment on that or no?
I don't want to comment too much on this, but all I'll say is this is like, I try not to have too much beef with anybody. And as for the Runky and KLD stuff, I mean, I just really think it's just childish. I mean, you got the server owner always beefing with a 15-year-old, and I mean, I know I'm a hypocrite too. I mean, I'm a year older than Runky, but I mean, I try not to be enemies with anybody. I'm just here to race. That's all I gotta say.
Fair point.
Yeah, and about the season 10s and season 9 templates. Apparently, I don't know if this is like true or not, but apparently we're getting like remastered versions for next season. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, all I'll say is this. I mean, I know there's been some behind the scenes work of trying to make the templates better and trying to make it look like they actually have talent and not like where it's a free for all. Like I just hope it actually gives us something that separates the competition. Like back in season from season 9 to season 10, like the templates that were used in the top two divisions were very different. They weren't identical. They were different from what was raced, and that's a good thing in my opinion. And I feel like one of the reasons why we have the newer templates right now for D1, D2, and D3 is because of the death walls. Because I remember Runky saying death walls make things more interesting. Well, I feel like ever since implementing more death walls, it's kind of taken away some of the talent because now we have these Matchbox cars where you can just where like I get death wall racing makes things more interesting, but like maybe we don't really need the death wall racing. Like maybe we can still have that talent racing if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Um, moving on here. Um, we're gonna give a little bit of halftime break here, presented by King Chungus here. Um, Today's podcast sponsor is King Chungus. Are you in need of crypto coin? Well, King Chungus Crypto is the one you need to help you invest in the right company. No more wasting your money at the casino and not winning. Well, King Chungus is the right company to invest in. Once again, thanks to our sponsor, King Chungus, for today's podcast episode. Um, Diving in more into ERS and whatnot. So let's talk a little bit of a silly season here in NOI here. Um, we haven't heard much silly season from you as of lately and whatnot. Is there any silly season things floating around that you could share um, on the podcast, and what could we expect for the future for NOI?
Well, for me personally, I don't know what I'm doing with my racing career. As you know, I'm already on break with from the racing and stuff. And as for NOI, I know King of King Gaming, he's going to your team, which good for him. I know he wants to return home. I know he's been struggling this season, the flagship A3 car. So I mean, I get he needs to change the scenery. So hopefully me and him can maybe, work out for a win or something later this season. And with Dimitri, I know he hasn't shown up much, but he's just basically there just like for a filler this season, like to have that one season driver, so we can have someone in the car who shows up somewhat. And then we have Nugfits for next season, as you know, like to have a two-time champion in the car, someone who can contend for wins and get us into the be a fringe playoff contender. To have him in the car and have his experience is always a good thing. So I'm really happy to work with Nug next season. That's going to be fun, rather. And as for D2, we're moving up Ken Miles to D2. He's been really good in D3 this season when he shows up. Lately, he's finished first, second, and second lately every start. And I know he had a fast car Rockingham, unfortunately DNF, and he showed the lost speed and promise that Daytona. He won the pole and finished third at race. So having Ken Miles move up to D2 is going to be great for our program. We're going to have Roscoe, our most recent D3 winner at Michigan, moving up to D2, I'm pretty sure. I think he wanted to move up to D2. And he's saying he's going to stay loyal to our team, so having Roscoe is awesome. We have one more full-time seat for D2. We're looking for someone that can be a good driver and someone who can be at least a fringe playoff contender, contend for a couple wins, and then you have for D3, the only driver I have higher for next season as of right now is Frosty, and then maybe Roscoe. But Frosty, he even though he's had an up and down season, he's been checkers or wreckers this season. But when he definitely shows speed, he just needs to harness that more. And I'm going to be happy to have him back in D3 next season.
Yeah, continuing with the season 17 rumors. Now, I know some people that probably most likely not gonna be in D2 anymore. And this includes like promotions and demotions. So we can start off with Blocks. We already know that he's gonna be added to the D1 list next season, driving the 80 for GD Autosports. We also know that Ronky, well, it's probably gonna be his last season anyway in road racing. Then Tyler even said, being the D2 host right now, he said that Jaden and Noodles are probably gonna get demoted, which is for the best, honestly. And then I also know that KLD might go back to D1 next season, but we still don't really know.
Oh, if KLD is so good in D1, he definitely should. Thinks he's so good, he definitely should move up to D1. That's all I'm going to say about that. As for Newells and Jane, I know Jane has that win in Montreal, but let's be real, that race was like Like that race was awful. Anyone who saw that race knew that race was pure awfulness. As for Noodles, you already know my 2 cents about, on him, so I'm just gonna keep it a buck 50 with you guys.
Hmm.
He overdrives the car, and he drives over his head a lot, and he's done this basically his whole ERS career where he overdrives the car and just drives over his head. Like he's running to me, he's running to Runky, and he's running to others, and I just can't stand this driving. And like moving down to D3 is probably the best for him. He already got fired from Gibbs, so you see how his reputation is. So that's all I'm really gonna say. I could go on about Noodles all day, but like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I,
Um, Another thing too.
I also
Oh, go ahead,
you go
Buck.
first.
Go ahead, Buck.
Oh, no. All right. I also know that Tekkit is probably run D5 if I mean it's probably the best for him. I know he really wants to drive full time for a division, but it really seems like he needs to start at the bottom because he really doesn't have much experience. I mean, look at what happened at Michigan. Dude just DNFs and turns the race into a 3 overtime finish. I saw that and it was crap. I mean, we keep telling these drivers you not brake in the corners, and these setups just. I feel like these setups should at least have some sort of break and turn, but if you do that in the current setups, you're just gonna get punished, in my opinion. So maybe running D5 for him is gonna be the best. That's all I'm gonna say. Like no offense to the guy, but he seems like he's doesn't have much block experience.
Well, yeah, like Tech Kid I like as a person, but really I feel like this is the other thing, like to keep it a buck 50 with you guys. Like have these guys start on D5 so teams can notice them and they can move up to D3. That's the other thing too. Quality over quantity. Like we can see these guys move up to D3 when or D4. Like we can't just sign everybody and like boom, they're national division racing. We give them a season D5 and or D4, and then they can get notice and then move up to national divisions. It's like in NASCAR. Like if you don't have your own sponsor and then your mommy or daddy pays for your ride. It's how the old way to do in real life NASCAR. You run in the lower divisions and like at your local short track, and then you get noticed by a top team, and then you can get to ARCA like in real life for trucks. And that's how it should be in ERS too. We should take notes of how these kids are doing in D5 and D4, and then they can move up to national divisions, get a hot seat in D3, and then they can possibly move up full time to the next step next season. And that's the other thing too. D5 shouldn't be a national division farming championship like it has been for me and G-Man and K's. It should showcase like the ERS stars of tomorrow, and these drivers should be noticed, but they're not really noticed because it's like a playground for national division drivers. And I like the fact that Runke is saying D5 is gonna be a development division next season, not just somewhere for cup drivers to farm titles. So thankfully, D5 is going to be for the younger kids to showcase their talents, and D4 too, instead of moving
Let
up to
me
national divisions.
I gotta say another stuff about D5. I honestly feel like D5 we shouldn't even be racing street stocks. I feel like we should be racing either late models or just modifieds. And I also feel like we shouldn't be going to these really fast tracks like Michigan. I feel like D5 should just be like a short track division, like kind of how it is in real life NASCAR. I mean, why do we bring
Exactly
these
my
cars to
point.
like Michigan? To bring these
Well,
cars to like unknown tracks, like local short tracks that we don't really see every single day.
I don't disagree, man. Like with these D5 street stocks, as someone who's won 2 titles in them, these things take no talent to drive. It's like in D1 and D2, where you can just body slam somebody, and then and then get to the lead or to second or third, and it's not fun. It's why I'm not going to run D5 anymore with these street stocks, because they're just not fun to drive. It's like D1 and D2 almost.
Yeah. Honestly, my personal opinion on it, like, I feel like there should only still be three divisions, and here's why. Um, One, it takes too much time to really, set up everything. It's like, I feel like it takes a toll on, people as well. But, um, I mean, I wouldn't mind, like, just one extra division, like D4. Keep D4, maybe, perhaps. I know I said, just keep three. But if I had to, maybe throw in D4 as, like, D5, I think you could scrap that league. Um, I don't think we really need a D5. We already have four divisions in itself, not counting, D5. But, like, I don't know. I feel like five divisions is, like, too much for ERS. So, kind of go back to, like, the way it was and everything like that. I mean, I feel like ERS nowadays is, like, trying to, like, it's hard to figure out what purpose does ERS have now in the league and whatnot. And I want to kind of shift into this topic too with, like, what can ERS do, better job at with either racing or hosting or, um, making sure, the communities, like, okay, can we, like, if somebody has an issue, hey, what can, ERS do a better job at or something, you know what I'm saying? So, like, what do you feel like ERS, you know, again, can do a better job at either hosting or racing as a whole?
Well, first of all, with the hosting, I think the hosting is fine. I mean, Runke, he's not perfect. No host is perfect. Not even I'm perfect as a host. Let's be real. And for the racing, like, just get new templates. Just, quality over quantity, and not move up these kids after one D3 and one D2 season, and change the templates. Please change the templates. These templates desperately need a change. Excuse me, but like change the templates for sure. And as for the community, like, I remember when back then everyone just wanted to race and not target each other. Everyone was just there to race and didn't care about anything else. But nowadays, everyone's at each other's throats. Now, I'll admit I'm not innocent with that, but like, people, like, I this should be where people just, should just be there to race and not care about anything else but just racing. That's how it should be. And maybe we need to get some of the bad people out. I'm not saying ban KLD. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, but like, you need to like, get the bad people out of there, and have a system for how drivers move up, as I mentioned before, and change the templates, as I've said before.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Buck, do you have any comments for that?
Not really right now.
Okay. Um, so I'd like to ask one more thing, Niall, here too, and whatnot. I know this is kind of again shifting pace here from a different topic here, but I know I asked Kyle Chief this last time. How how did ERS come about? I forgot to ask this earlier. Like, where does Niall, like, where do you start in ERS? How did you meet Runke? How did that whole thing come together? And how did NOI, start and make its way into ERS, what we know today?
Well, I met Runke back in this old league called the McCool Racing Association all the way back in 2017. We weren't as close as we are today. We had our differences back then, but believe me, back in 2017, 2018, 2019, and even 2020, we were all immature kids and stuff. And my I've been in ERS since season one. And the first team I owned wasn't even Now Here Incorporated. It was actually I actually owned Roush Fenway for the first season. I drove the number
Hmm.
17 Fastenal Ford. for Roush Fenway, and I own that team. I didn't show up much in season one. Like in the early days of ERS, I didn't show up much. I won one race back in season two, Martinsville, but that's really about it. And then when NOI really came was season eight. We got our first win with Addicted to Speed. And in D1, we won a couple lower division races with Thomas the Tank Engine and BK, who we know how he turned out to be. And those are the only two I can think of. And I want to say we won a D3 race with somebody, but I can't exactly remember. Then we were Colleague Racing. You raced for Colleague Racing
Yep.
back in season nine data.
Yep.
Like we won a couple races in D1. We won a crown jewel, the Coca-Cola 600,
We did.
and we also won the championship with Addicted, and then we also won the D2 championship, the first D2 race of the season that season with Hiroshi, and he won the last one. And he won Talladega too, and the last race of the season. And on his way to win the championship. And we also got a bunch of wins with Nathan Nader too.
We did, definitely. Um, but yeah, Buck, did you have any questions for Niall?
I'm all ears.
um, oh,
I think Buck said he
yep,
was going to be RB.
he was gonna be right, B. Um, I'd like to like ask another question here. Um,
Sure.
as a whole here, and I know you've had a lot of mental health struggles and whatnot. And I know it's not easy to control it and everything like that. What would you give advice to the people who may be listening into this podcast later tonight, and maybe they might be going through some mental health themselves and whatnot, and trying to find balance in their life, and either contemplating with you know
Mhm.
death and whatnot. So what advice would you give to the people, and words of encouragement?
I'm going to say right here, don't give up in life. Like, as someone who's been through tough times in life outside of row racing, life can be tough and it can be a struggle. Everything with my father. Now he away a couple of years ago, and I still keep going because I know he wanted me to keep going. And but other than that, you just don't give up, man. Like I know stuff is tough and it can be tough, and you just gotta be there for everyone too, because you don't know what people are going through. Like people, this is why I hate people are selfish these days, and nobody knows what each other is going through. But other than that, my advice to people is just never give up, and keep those close around you. And always, my DMs are always open on Discord. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need advice with anything, my DMs are always open. If you need any advice or someone to talk to, my DMs are always open 24/7. I may not respond, by the way, right away, but my DMs are always open.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate the words of encouragement, Niall. Um, as one row racer from another, we've both seen it happen many, many times with wrecks and everything like that. And um, how would you say the racing from then and now has changed, and why?
In terms of row racing in general or
Yeah,
ERS?
I'd say probably a little bit of both.
Well, it's definitely changed a lot coming from someone who raced in 2017. Back then, you had V lag, and you didn't know anyone who run the race. Like on your screen, it looked like you won the race, but on the host screen, it looks like a photo finish, and then next thing you know, you didn't win, and then instead it was a photo finish. So road racing has changed drastically, like so much, and now we have non-vision lag. So now you can tell where you are in racing. Now you know if you're side by side with somebody or stuff like that. So road racing has changed a lot, and with steps and stuff. Now we have skill steps. I feel like when it was the non VLAG, you had some setups where it was basically full throttle with the VLAG setups. But now it takes more talent to drive with non VLAG and stuff. So and with with new templates and stuff, and now we have draft and all that fun stuff and more scripts. I feel like back then with row racing, it was just like insert your car, put in limiters, put in the fuel, and then boom. Boom, you're set to go. It's like setting up for a row race. It's easy as one, two, three. But now you have to make sure everything is right with row racing. You have to make sure all the scripts are in. You have to make sure the draft is in. You have to make sure the setup is right for every car. It's like more harder these days. Just shows how much row racing has changed. It's more technical these days too.
Yeah, definitely. Um, you know, I I find it, it just mind boggles me because back then, season 10, season 11, going back to what I said from a lot earlier. I just again I can't I like we had the tougher competition. It's like now it's just man.
But I hear you, and we're the D1 veterans. Me and you are D1 veterans. We should be able to separate ourselves from the competition, not be like so the competition shouldn't be as close as it is, in my opinion. I mean, I get we have to have some parity, but but I feel like when we have an underdog story, that should be more celebrated. And I feel like it's not as celebrated anymore because nowadays you expect it more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
All right.
You have any questions for me, Buck, that I want to ask?
Oh, any questions? Would you consider like only changing the templates would fix like most issues that we have, or is it like both the track models and the templates? Like, would you say like what's the main reason that as to why the racing is like it is now?
I think it's a combination of both things. Like you need to get rid of some track models. Like if like with Michigan, if the track is so steep, you're not going to have super good racing, in my opinion. If like that's how the cars get really tight, in my opinion. It's like if the track is super steep, and then with the templates, like I said, these are like bumper cars, like where you can just full send somebody and you can stay in second or third. With how racing should be, if you try to wreck full send somebody, you should be wrecking yourself, not the guy next to you. If you full send them, that's not real racing. And hopefully, Runky is making it to where you can just door slam somebody out of the way and then you stay in like third or fourth. I mean, I know Roblox is Roblox, but I've seen leagues do it where if you pretty much try to full send somebody, you end up wrecking yourself, and that's how racing should be.
So would you say that maybe adding a couple of spin physics, maybe not too major spin physics, would you say that would make the racing a little bit better, like contact wise?
Yeah, it could help, and maybe make the cars a little bit more heavier. I remember with the season 9 to season 10 D1 templates, those cars were heavier, and these cars need to be more heavier. I feel like with these cars, since they're all so light and so close together, I feel like it's more easier to like door slam the guy. But if you make the cars a little bit more heavier, they can be harder to drive, which is a good thing.
Indeed. I feel like we should also not have like some setups just need to be changed in my opinion. Like for example, the D3 setups, I mean, I feel like they were really good. They put on a great show. It was just when the Tekken incident happened. But I just feel like Ronky and companies shouldn't be like scared to like try new stuff, like try maybe different setups, maybe kind of like a loose setup for I don't know, say a 1.5 miler or something.
Um, Niall, we appreciate you having on the podcast here. We've really
Thank
enjoyed it
you.
here, and yeah, man. Hopefully, we can see you back in another, D1 car. Hopefully in the future. I don't know if you're, still thinking about coming back or whatnot, and um, we'll have to see in the future.
I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well that's gonna do it for the ERS podcast today. I'm your host Rusty, as long as always, and my co-host Buck.
Indeed.
And our guest today, Niall.
Sure.
And we'll see you next time in the next ERS podcast episode.